Anyway,
Yeah.
what about you?
Um, well, now that you mentioned that, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about cutting that scene, but I do believe in cutting scenes. I thought when I went going into it, I thought, well, after watching it, I thought the first act of the movie was a little long for me, and that scene included. I think the setup, I understand why it was needed, but I think if you were right, if they did cut down on some of these fantasy sequences, that would tighten up the first act and let the audience know what his goals are going to be. You know what how because a lot of it, if you think a lot of it at the beginning part, the first act, there's several fantasy scenes strung together like pretty quickly because there's that scene where Walter Mitty's standing there with a cup of coffee or whatever, and then he's just kind of zoned out, and then they're flicking a paper clip or rubber, they're flicking something at him,
Yep,
and then call him Major Tom or something like that. They
yep.
mentioned that. So there's quite a few things like that that could cut down. Near the end, the last second, third act, right off, I can't think anything that should be cut tremendously. But I think I'm not exactly sure, but I think the movie was close to 2 hours long. I think it was like an hour and 58 minutes or something.
Yeah, 154.
154. Okay. I
You
think
know,
if they
go
cut
ahead.
down 15 minutes, if they cut out 15 minutes, or if they shorten a little each of the fantasy sequences, that would help cut down on the runtime, make it a lot quicker to get to the point of him looking for Sean O'Connell, and which surprised me as well. I didn't
Yeah,
realize Sean Penn
yeah.
was was in the movie.
Such a small, important role, and to throw him in there, I thought that was all very, very interesting.
And for it to be
Um,
Sean Penn as well. That
yeah,
really,
I think he's perfect for it though,
yeah,
because he's so
yeah,
rugged.
yes,
But one thing you were talking about the first act. So the first act is typically runs about 22 to 25 minutes, and
yeah,
at that point, the end of the first act is when the the main character takes off on the journey and decides to go on the journey. You know that. I'm just kind of telling everybody if
right,
anybody else is watching. I found that moment to be where Sean Penn, like,
yeah.
I'm pulled it up right now. That's at 36 minutes and 16 seconds.
See, it's too long.
It's
It-
too long because at that point, that's where he takes off because then he goes to the airport and
Which,
flies
which,
to
which you
Greenland.
just said the first act is usually what, around 20 minutes.
20 to
I
25
said
minutes.
cut out 14 to 16 minutes. That would have been 20 minutes.
That would have put it right there.
Yeah,
And because that's where the journey begins because he really hasn't done anything up until that point except for setup. And like you said, you get rid of the Stretch Armstrong scene, that's going to save you about 5 minutes.
yeah,
But yeah, I really think that the first act is just way too long. It's like
yeah.
it's such a fun journey. Let's hurry up and get on it.
Yeah, and that was the only and I wouldn't even say negative, but that was the only thing that I could really think of as far as like what would I change
Yeah,
about, let's, cut tighten up the first act. And I could understand, Ben Stiller's wanting to put as much as he can in there because this is a different kind of role for him as well.
oh
It's
yeah,
not outwardly comedic, but it's not super dark drama either. It's kind of I hate to say fantasy drama in a way, but it's a feel good fantasy drama
yeah,
without going into like science fiction or a lot of I know there were some special effects to create some of the things, but a lot of the things that you look at on screen, you don't originally right off think, oh, there's a special effect, there's a special
yeah,
effect. They're very subtle, other than like the Stretch Armstrong scene
yeah,
or some of the more elaborate scenes. Obviously it's got some special effects, but they're not like gunfire or jet, fighter jets or spaceships, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So as far as that goes, I was pleasantly surprised in Ben Stiller's performance as well.